Hey guys, Tony Denaro here. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my spreadsheet model forecasting what AMC's Q1 2023 earnings are going to be. That meeting is scheduled for Friday, May 5th at 7:30 a.m. Central, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. A lot of people are wondering, why is the meeting in the morning? Is there some hidden meaning here? I don't know. I'm guessing just like you guys. But when the meeting is does not really affect how a financial forecast comes out. So let's go through the spreadsheet, and I'm going to level set a couple things here and talk about some assumptions before we get into it. A lot of people have very big expectations for popcorn, and I'm not really factoring that into my model for Q1 because it didn't launch until March 11th and it wasn't fully wide across all Walmarts. And then as soon as it launched, they were out and we couldn't keep the shelves full. So I am very bullish about popcorn contributing some level of profit to AMC's income statement in the future. I just don't think that there's going to be a huge impact in Q1. One of the foundations for the model that I use is what was the domestic box office for the quarter. And here on Box Office Mojo, you can go look that up yourself. It came in at $1.72 billion for Q1 in 2023. If we look at Q4 2022, it was $1.77 billion. So pretty much the same for Q1 as Q4. A lot of people are wondering about Avatar. Wasn't that a big carryover into Q1? And what about that $1.6 billion international? If we look at all of AMC's locations, the vast majority of them are in the United States, 7,648 screens with 2,800 screens international. The bulk of those being in the UK, 886 screens in the UK. When I considered any potential outlier effects to my model due to Avatar, I went in and looked at the countries that we have a big presence in, like the UK, for example, and you can go in and look at this yourself. Yes, there was some contribution in all of the countries that AMC is in, but the numbers really dropped off starting in January. If you're wondering why is Q1 so important and why do I keep on talking about the effects of the lawsuit slowing down AMC's ability to raise cash, let's just circle back here and look at AMC's balance sheet reported on December 31st, 2022. $631 million in cash and cash equivalents. AMC also had this forward purchase agreement with Antara, which after the HSR waiting period had expired, they were going to sell Antara $75 million worth of APE. I believe that transaction completed sometime in February. So I think we can add about $75 million to the balance sheet from the sale of APE as well. Rough numbers then, we're looking at about $700 million of cash on AMC's balance sheet, would be my guess. I also looked at any filings that AMC made in the first quarter where they gave us a clue about the share count of AMC and APE. We had 929 million APE on a filing on February 22nd, 937 million on a filing on March 8th. And then on April 3rd, this is my estimate because they only reported the total shares. I'm estimating that there is 974 million. Let's see, if we subtract 929 million in February from 974 million in April, that gives us about 45 million unaccounted for shares. Let's just assume then that AMC sold those shares. I don't know that for a fact. And the price around the end of March was $1.60. That would give us 45 million times $1.60, maybe another 72 million that AMC has in their pockets. So let's use that as our range for the balance sheet, $700 to $772 million. Moving over to the spreadsheet model, you can see I have various different quarters on here to give us a rough idea how to extrapolate and predict what is going to happen with the upcoming quarter. And I created a bunch of formulas to predict what percentage of domestic box office translates to admissions revenue. From admissions revenue, what percentage can you extrapolate to food and beverage income? And of those sources of revenue, what percentage does AMC retain as profit? It's about 50% on box office admissions. It is about 84% profit margin on food and beverage costs. And with Q4 domestic box office being 1.77 billion, if you go in and look at the 10K, or Yahoo Finance, what did we have for net profit or loss per share? It was a loss of 27 cents on the earnings per share, and cash-wise, the net loss was $287 million. So now let's take this Q1 domestic box office, 1.722, and pop that into the spreadsheet and see what it tells us. Popping that number here in the top, the domestic box office, all of the formulas will calculate out the estimates for Q1. That gives us a total revenue estimate of $924 million. And if we scroll down, negative 19 cents on the loss per share and a net loss of $279 million. Why the big difference, you might wonder? If Q4 box office was very similar to Q1, the one we just finished up, why do we see negative 27 and negative 19 cents? That is due to this Q4 charge, the impairment of long-lived assets. If I zeroed this out, for example, you would see the earnings per share change dramatically down at the bottom. So that is a one-time charge. I don't think we'll be having any impairment charges in Q1. Let's zoom in here because I created a little box where we can see what that leaves us with cash. If we're assuming that AMC had 700 to 770 million in cash, that leaves us somewhere in the neighborhood of 420 to $490 million in cash. On the other hand, if we go by the cash on the balance sheet, $631 million. Like, what if I'm completely wrong that AMC sold some extra ape or the money that they made from the forward purchase agreement? If we start with $631 million as AMC's cash position minus $279 million, that leaves us with only $351 million in cash. Barely enough to cover one more quarter of losses. If we look over here on the left, AMC is losing on average about $225 to $250 million a quarter, and that is going to continue until we get to where we have a profitable quarter. On the cash flow statement, you can see this same thing. We began the year with $1.6 billion in cash, ended the year with $654 million. That is an average cash burn of $250 million per quarter. This right here is why I am so irritated that this lawsuit is getting drawn out so long. And you heard the attorneys talk about a date in August that they need to be raising cash. Depending on how Q2 goes, we could end Q2 with virtually no cash left in the bank. That is a razor thin margin to be operating a company as big as AMC. But not to worry, that problem is easily fixed if the lawsuit could be resolved and the company had the opportunity to raise more money. I could care less about the vote. I could care less about Adam Aron. I could care less about the reverse split. But if this company doesn't have the ability to raise money, my friends, we are all in trouble. Don't worry though, I'm pretty confident it's going to be resolved. I'm just going to keep plugging away and explaining why I am worried until I know I don't need to worry anymore. I know you're probably wondering, well, how do we know that this model is valid? Well, who are you, Denaro? Let's look at the professional estimates here on Yahoo Finance. They are saying here the average estimate for revenue for AMC for Q1 is $930 million. My model is predicting $924 million. That's only off by $6 million. And they are estimating the earnings more favorably than I am. They have it at negative 16 cents. My model is saying negative 19 cents. I'd take negative 16 all day long. At any rate, stick around on May 5th. Find out, did I get this right? Did I completely blow it? Does Adam Aron have something up his sleeve that we don't know about, some hidden revenue source? How is popcorn going to play into the future? Once I have some numbers from AMC, I'll be able to add that into the model. But I don't think it's the time in Q1 to be factoring popcorn in. And even as we look into forward quarters, I'm going to be very conservative. I hear lots of speculation and lots of wild theories about what the popcorn revenue is going to be. Believe me, I want to believe you that popcorn is going to be this massive revenue adder, and maybe it will be. I sure hope so. And buy some. It tastes really good. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope that these few minutes help you understand a little bit more why I'm worried about the cash. Yes, box office is improving. Yes, we have good concessions sales, but one day, one tweet about concessions is not enough to make the year. We got to hit it out of the park every single quarter. But on my channel, I only use the numbers that I have, and so wild speculation is not something that I do here on the channel. I hope you found this useful. Let me know your questions and comments down below. I am Tony Denaro, and I will see you on the next video.